Hello children, how are you? Hope you are healthy and happy. We have taken up this lesson in 2 videos already. In another 2 videos, we complete this lesson. First of all, we have taken up the general introduction. What do we mean by colonies? What do we mean by liberation movements, and also the things happened after liberating, that is how they went building their nation. These things we have discussed. As we have you already knew, we have to discuss about 3 countries. One is China, 3 colonies and their liberation movements. China, Nigeria and Vietnam. Okay. So, first of all, let us deal with China. Before that, I will ask you a question. This is 2020. Are there any colonies nowadays? Are there any colonies at all? Because we have developed a lot. United Nations has come. United Nations is taking care of and also supporting the people all over the world. So, at this stage, are there any colonies? Do you think there are some colonies? What is your answer? Surprisingly, there are still some areas under colonial rule. You will surprise how many such areas are there. 61 colonies are there. 61 colonies are there ruled by the outsiders. US tops the list, United States of America, Australia, England, more or less all European countries owned some areas of others. So, that is still continuing. The colonial rule is still continuing. Okay, let us now confine to China. Today in this video we talk about China. See, one thing is there, we simply said liberation movement. After some years or decades or centuries, people will fight for liberation because of the horrible, suppressive, exploitative colonial conditions. They will definitely revolt. So, they fight for independence. But one thing we have to remember, that the process of getting independence is not that easy. It will take time. It will take lot of years, struggle, several sacrifices. So, it is same is the story for China also. Before diving into the liberation movement of China, let us see some details of present China. China is situated, you all know, in East Asia. It is number 1 country in population. 1.4 billion people are living in China, and in area wise also it is a big one, 4th largest in the world. Its capital is Beijing. Of course, big city is Shanghai. These are the demographics of China. China, before the colonial rule, several dynasties controlled China. Several dynasties ruled in different parts of. See, in the case of India, several kings were there. If you take from north to south, maybe 20, 30, 40 kingdoms ruled India. Some kingdoms may be large, some may be small. So, but in the same way, numerous dynasties ruled China. And another disadvantage for China is it is a big area and people speak different traditional languages. So, there is no feeling of one nation in China. There is no feeling of one nation. And also, as we discussed now, as we discussed now, China is ruled by several dynasties. Let us leave all those dynasties. Let us discuss one major dynasty, that is Manchu dynasties. This is also called as Qing, Q-U-I-N-G, Qing dynasty, Manchu dynasty or Qing dynasty. This is the longest period, they ruled longest period. If you take the history of the world from 1604 to 1912, longest rule by this family. This is Manchu, a tribal family name, Manchu. The ruler name is Qing. So it is Qing or Manchu dynasty. Before that, Ming dynasty was there. It is from 1636 to 1644. Manchu dynasty is more powerful and also occupied larger area, and also 1644 to 1912. So during this period, they are the rulers, the dynasty ruled by Qing, they are not exploitative. They are good people, but their military or their capacity to safeguard the people from outsiders is very, very limited. So because of that, they are not able to control, or they are not able to stall the outsiders. They allowed other foreigners who are entering into their country. They are not only allowed, but also they gave lot of concessions, because they cannot fight with them. So the law and order, for instance, apply to Chinese only, but not to foreigners. Taxes for Chinese only, insiders only, but not foreigners. So in this way, they allowed the outside rulers into their area, and also they obliged what the outsiders demanded. So that is the situation of Manchu dynasty. So people are both common people, elite, educated, slightly educated, or administrator, are not happy with these dynasties. So lot of revolts have come. Small revolts have come here, there, everywhere. So the Manchu dynasty is not able to serve the people properly, mainly because of the outsiders entering into the country. At that time, Republic China was formed by Sun Yat-sen. Sun Yat-sen was a doctor. He studied in Christian schools, and also he became a philosopher. He is knowledgeable. He saw in various countries democracies serving the people, and also socialistic principles also implemented in several countries. By going all through these things, he became a leader of a movement, and he is able to dethrone Manchus. He succeeded in dethroning Manchu dynasty. So that is the major change in the history of China. So we called it as Republic of China. Sun called it as Republic of China. So in one way, we can call Sun as the founding father of, maybe I don't know, modern China. Whether we can call modern China or not, he is the main person. He is the architect of the new China, independent China. He came with a lot of aspirations. He promised a lot of things. Actually, as a philosopher and also as a social engineer, he has good ideology, plans, and willing to implement them. Mainly, his ideology are they called as San Min Chin. San Min, Chin. This is what he promised. This is what he promised to the people. San means nationalism. San means nationalism. Min means democracy. Chin means socialism. So he promised nationalism, socialism, and democracy. Nationalism, socialism, and democracy. Nationalism combined with democracy, nationalism combined with democracy, he thought he can provide people all the needs. His definition of nationalism is simple. His definition of nationalism is San means nationalism. His definition of nationalism is very simple. First, dethroning Manchu dynasty and also throwing out all the foreigners, outsiders, all the outsiders. Unfortunate thing for China is it is not under one colonial rule. It is not a colony to British. It is not a colony to France. It is a colony to everyone. There is no label of colony, but it is worse than the colonial rule. Several people, several countries are in China, and so his one of the main promise or agenda is to send all the foreigners out. Democracy means simple, by people, rule by people. Third one, socialism means regulating industries, distributing lands. See the promises: regulating industries, distributing the lands mainly to the landless. So very, very attractive and very modern. So people got attracted, but unfortunately, son is not able to do anything of anything. He is not able to send foreigners. He is not able to distribute the land to poor. Even he is not able to regulate the industries. Is another promise, regulating the industries. So he did not do all this. So again same, people revolted against. They accepted son as their godfather, as their national leader. But they are not happy as he is not able to implement. He is a philosopher. He has will, he has a plan, but implementing them in the area is very, very difficult. The unfortunate thing for son is he has influenced only urban people. He is not able to reach rural areas. That is the most unfortunate thing. So several revolutions have come again. The major revolution is on May 4th May 1919, that is the major revolution. The revolution has come on previously there were several agitations, but this is a major revolution. But this is a major revolution. What happened? They want their land back, that is Shandong. They are mostly attached. See, on 5th of this month, we have in Ayodhya, we have laid a stone for Ram Mandir. It is there are several Rama temples in Ayodhya and throughout the India, but people are so attached to that place, so they want it because it is more religious and also kind of feeling. In the same way, China lost Shandong, which is the birthplace of Confucius. Confucius, Tao made the character of China. They are leaders, they are gurus, they are preachers. So, when that is the land of Confucius. So, they want the land back. The moment purpose is to get the land back. That is one. regaining their land. Second one is saving China. They called their agenda as saving China. We have to save China. There are several laws against women, several situations against farmers. Poverty is there, unemployment is there. So, we have to save China means we have to eradicate poverty, we have to implement modern laws. For instance, one practice in those days was binding foot of women. See, when a girl child was born, they tie both legs, not the entire leg, foot. They tie it again and again. After some time, daily only one time or two times they remove and again they tie, so that when they grow, but their foot will not grow. Say they cannot walk freely. They should be confined only to the household work. So, in this way, the fourth movement is a revolutionary movement. So, China became again in the old situation. China became in the old situation. Means again struggles, continuous, it is a turmoil. So, in those such situations, Communist Party of China has emerged. Communist Party of China has emerged. CPC in 1921 emerged. Actually, Kuomintang KMT was there in 1928 to 1948. They showed their. So, Communist Party of China has emerged in 1921. Of course, before that, after the death of Sun Yat-sen, Chiang Kai-shek has taken up the reins of China, but unfortunately, he is not able to control again, because of the city is not able to satisfy in the same way like Sun. Sun's political party is called as KMT. So, they are not able to satisfy the people. Then Communist Party of China has established in 1921. This is the historical change, a radical shift in China. Of course, this is established in 1921, but Mao took reins after some time. Mainly, KMT has limited itself. The Sun's ideology, Sun's work is limited to urban areas, but Mao focused on rural areas. Mainly, he organized an army of peasants. He consolidated all villages, all people in the villages, and he is able to focus. He is able to focus on the entire area of China. For instance, Mao focus on women is something special. Mao said, women hold up half of the sky. Women hold up half of the sky. So, Mao believed it, Mao implemented it. It is not, of course, easy for Mao to establish and consolidate the situation. Mainly, his long march from 1934 to 35, 2 years of long march, almost 10,000 kilometers. He organized unions of farmers, peasants, landless laborers, and women organizations. That is also an innovative thing. He organized women into unions, and he is able to consolidate the thing. Children, we go in detail again when the schools reopen. We will limit it to the final new democracy. How Mao and Communist Party of India has made the new China, independent China possible. For instance, Mao is totally inspired by Karl Marx. As we have already discussed in introduction, Karl Marx is the founding father of communism. Communist Russia, the first communist nation, Russia, has influenced Mao and also Communist Party of China. Communist Party of China mainly took the critical areas of economy under its control. It is a powerful rule where there will be no concessions. It controlled all the areas, all the means of production. So government is the main all activities were conducted by government. Education, health, economy, industries, everything owned by government. He distributed 20 lakhs of areas. Almost 43% of China's cultivable land was distributed to poor farmers, and also almost 60% of poor people got land in that huge country. So in that way, he is able to got independence and freedom to China, and also finally he made a single party rule in China. Single party rule, and Mao means the chairman of the party is the absolute ruler. Absolute ruler, you call dictator, or you may call a monarchy, or whatever it is. He became absolute ruler of the entire China. His development strategies are totally different. He did not allow any loopholes. His strategy is harsh. He believed that power comes from the barrel of the gun. So you rule, you control people with gun. For instance, I will tell you two incidents. If anyone want to commit suicide, he encouraged it. Yes, let them die. Our population will get reduced. So that is the attitude of the Communist Party leaders of those days. So in that way, they established a Communist Party. They called it Mao Zedong. They called it New Democracy. But democracy is there, but it is not a democratic country. Mao believed that socialism, democracy will prevail together. But they still now also it is totally a communist country. In this way, facing all these problems, in middle Japan also ruled China for 8 years. While they are struggling, one side Mao, another side KMT party and CPC, they are struggling to get a hold on the country. At that time also 8 years Japan ruled. Fortunately for them, like there is a Telugu saying, కాగల కార్యం గంధర్వులే తీర్చారని అంటారు కదా. కాగల కార్యం గంధర్వులే తీర్చారని. You know where that proverb has come? When Pandavas were in first phase of their that is కొంచెము పాండవులు వనవాసంలో ఉన్నప్పుడు ఏం జరిగిందంటే, ఈ కౌరవులు ఈ దుష్ట చతుష్టయం సైన్యంతో వెళ్ళి వాళ్ళ దగ్గర వాళ్ళని అవమానిస్తూ భోగాలు అనుభవిద్దాం అనుకున్నారు. ఆ టైంలో వాళ్ళతో చిన్న ఘర్షణ వచ్చి ఈ దేవతలు వాళ్ళనేమో తీసుకుపోతారు. అందుకే కాగల కార్యం గంధర్వులే చేశారని. వితౌట్ దైర్ ఇన్వాల్వ్మెంట్, వితౌట్ దైర్ ఎనీ స్ట్రగుల్, it was done by God or somebody. In the same way, America bombarded Japan in the form of dropping nuclear weapons, 2 nuclear weapons. So at that time Japan became powerless and went away from China. So in this way, lot of struggles, lot of turmoil, a lot of bloodshed. Finally, it came out of colony. China became a independent country.